Welcome to Mikamcha Yisrael. Have you ever looked at something in your life and felt absolutely certain that it made no sense? Not confusing, wrong. Something that didn't align, it didn't add up, and almost demanded to be rejected? The Torah introduces us to the Mekalel, a man who uttered the name of Borei Olam and blasphemed. Chazal reveal what triggered him. He saw the Lechem HaPanim, the sacred bread that was placed in the Mishkan, sitting on the Shulchan for an entire week before being eaten, and he couldn't accept it. How can it be, he said, that a king is served week-old bread? Shouldn't it be fresh and warm, fitting for royalty? To him, it was illogical, and because it was illogical, he dismissed it. Reb Zalman Sorotzkin reveals a striking truth. Had he waited just 1 week, he would have witnessed something extraordinary. The bread didn't stale. It remained fresh, soft, warm, and unchanged, but he didn't wait. He demanded understanding in the moment, and when it didn't come, he concluded that it wasn't there. And that is where this stops being his story and becomes ours. Because we live in a world we don't always understand. And the test is not whether we understand. The test is what we do when we don't. Do we demand clarity, or do we choose trust? And that tension between what we see now and what only time will reveal, it unfolds quietly in our lives. In Yerushalayim, there lived a remarkable individual. His name was Reb Meir Schuster. He would stand near the Kotel, gently observing the steady stream of visitors, searching for those who seemed distant, unfamiliar, and disconnected. You've seen him. When he found someone, he didn't overwhelm them with words. He offered warmth, a meal, a sense of belonging. One Friday evening, he noticed a young man, refined, thoughtful, clearly intelligent. He approached him, and he invited him for Shabbat. The young man naturally accepted, and what began as a simple meal became a meaningful conversation. They discussed what was deepened and touched on emunah, on purpose, and on truth, and recognizing something within him, Reb Meir suggested that he stay for a short time to learn and to explore, and the young man agreed. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. He immersed himself, engaged deeply, and he grew steadily. 6 months passed. And then one day, the young man approached Reb Meir and expressed his gratitude and explained that he would be returning to England. Reb Meir, surprised, gently asked, 6 months? And you feel you have what you need to leave? The young man nodded. I've gained tremendously, he said, but I won't be continuing. I'm not Jewish. The words landed heavily. 6 months of care, 6 months of investment, 6 months of hope, and in a single moment it appeared to dissolve. Reb Meir asked, then why did you come at all? The young man explained, I'm studying theology. I'm training to become a priest, Yimach Shemam, and if I was told that I truly want to understand the Bible, there's no place like a yeshiva than in Yerushalayim. He paused, and I gained more here than I could have anywhere else. Reb Meir absorbed the moment. 6 months invested in the future priest. From every visible angle, it seemed like a loss. But he didn't question. He didn't retreat. He simply continued. 2 months later, there was a knock at the door. A young man stood there, searching, sincere, and asking if he could learn. Reb Meir welcomed him. During their conversation, Reb Meir asked what had brought him there. The young man explained that he had been studying in England, struggling with deep questions of faith, and his professor directed him to a priest known for his insight. So he went. And after a brief conversation, the priest asked him, young man, what's your name? Abe Feldman, he replied. The priest looked at him and he smiled. With a name like that, you are not meant to be here. If you are truly searching for truth, don't come to me. There's a man in Yerushalayim, Reb Meir Schuster. Go to him. He'll give you something that I never can. The priest was the very young man, that priest. And it didn't end there. Again and again, he directed searching Jewish souls back, not just to their heritage, but directly to Reb Meir himself. In time, more than 10 Jews found their way back because of those 6 months. What once appeared to be a loss was in truth the beginning of something far greater. It's really a magnificent thought. Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when everything in front of you seems to say, this didn't work. The effort feels misplaced, the outcome feels wrong, and the instinct is to conclude, to label, and to move on. But the Mekalel made a fatal mistake. He didn't misunderstand. he just finalized too soon. He looked at the bread and decided it was stale. But he never stayed long enough to see that it was actually still warm. Meir stood at the end of 6 months with what appeared to be nothing, 6 months of effort. And the result? A priest? If there was ever a moment to draw a conclusion, well, that was it. But he didn't. He left the story open. And because he left it open, Borei Olam continued writing. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, what looked like a loss began to unfold into something else entirely, a conversation, a direction, a return, one soul, then another, until the very outcome that made no sense became the source of everything. Because life is not related in moments, it's revealed in continuations, and the greatest mistake a person can make is not that he doesn't understand, it's just that he decides there's nothing to understand. There are things in your life right now you've already concluded. You labeled them, you closed them, you walked away from them internally. But what if they're not over? And what if they're not wrong? What if you're simply standing at a point in the story that never meant to be understood yet? The bread wasn't stale. The effort wasn't wasted. The moment wasn't wrong. It was just unfinished. And if a person has the strength to live without closing every question, to trust without seeing every answer, and to wait without forcing a conclusion, then one day he doesn't just understand his life. He sees that it was being written with precision the entire time, and that's the difference between someone who reacts to life and someone who allows Borei Olam to reveal it. Shabbat Shalom and Mivorach.